Shines here with the League of Prestigious Gentlemen. And today I'm talking about what's coming up on this Saturday. I had a lot of questions because this month we've been talking about confidence. So what I'm going to do is talk to you about not just confidence, but what is coming up this Saturday, the Masterclass on confidence. So what are we about? First of all, thank you all very much for attending the live. And for those of you who have supported us on the different platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, thank you very much for supporting us with the videos. The channels are fairly new. So as we're getting primed, as we're priming the pump, we're going to be executing a lot more or I should say posting a lot more videos. But confidence is this month's mantra. Every month we have a mantra. Every month we have a theme. Last month was frame. The month before that was communication. Before that, it was some other things. Next month, we're doing presence. But before we get into that, I do a live at the end of every month, and I get a lot of questions about the live. So what I wanted to do here today is just come on and let people know, excuse me, still getting over a cough, let people know how the lives work, how the master classes work, but also how the membership works so you can get all the master classes as well. So I'll be answering a lot of questions. So those of you who saw the invite, thank you. If you are here, I look forward to answering your questions that you guys sent me via email. So that will be, I'll be talking about that as we go along. So this month, confidence. And remember, LPG is all about men, masculinity, and how to utilize our masculinity for the betterment of society. I had some very good coaches and mentors. I had a great dad, had a great big brother. I had mentors, bosses, and coaches that poured into my life. And I decided, it was a decision, I decided to evolve myself to what I now see as the top level person, or I should say male in the, I should say cultural and behavioral archetypes, is the gentleman. And there's a lot of information backing that up, and I'll be presenting some of that in the videos. I'll be presenting some of that in the masterclass as well. But I decided to evolve myself. Just a quick background: I grew up in East Palo Alto, California, and there it's the ghetto, it's hood, right? And so I grew up understanding hood talk. I grew up understanding the streets. Not that I was out there meddling in the streets too much. Mom and dad were on me about my grades, so I had to make sure that I could successfully move in and out of the different areas appropriately. And so what I learned to do is sit at the feet of those people who knew more than me. I found this out at an earlier age, because there's two ways you can learn things: a heuristic approach and or some knowledge, wisdom, and insight that someone can impart to you. I listened very, very well. As I was growing up in the hood, I knew that I needed to understand how things work, how outside, because when I traveled outside of the hood, I saw that there were so many other opportunities that weren't available to me. And I thought, how do we get out of the process, or I should say the mindset of the street, the hood? And so that's when I decided to, and my mom as well, through several programs, to matriculate in some of the programs that were available to us at the time. And so now, at the age that I am very, very versed in what I'm going to be talking about today, and that is confidence. I'm going to talk about the confidence masterclass. I'm not going to talk about the components or all the components. I am going to share with you a little bit of the 6-part framework, but I do want to answer questions that people had, and that's why I decided to do this live. All of a sudden, just impromptu, I say, you know what, I am going to do a live. So growing up in the hood, I'm saying, you know what, I'm going to make sure that I also tell my story and start this movement. LPG is a movement. League of Prestigious Gentlemen is a movement. And this movement is all about how to support men. Because as you know, if you're out there dating right now, you're looking for a job, or you are working in a workplace environment, there are certain people that are successful, and there are certain people that are not as successful. I won't say losers, but they're not as successful. And there's quite a big difference of the level of success. Now, here's one thing that I've observed over time, that people are people. Human nature hasn't changed that much. So even though the technology may have changed, societal norms may have changed or evolved here and there, the opportunities to connect with people far away has changed quite a bit as well. But even though that all transpires, people are still people. It comes right down to it, the brass tacks, people are people. And if you understand how to utilize the communication, the leadership skill, all these other skills that we talk about later on, if you understand how to utilize these skills successfully, then you can be successful in the real workplace environment. You can be successful in the social environment. You can be successful in the home place environment. Over time, I have noticed there are 12 different opportunities where we need to be confident. And I get a lot of questions about confidence. And I'm fortunate enough to have an organization that is a coaching organization. So we go into a lot of different organizations and we teach their C-suite, we teach their mid-level managers, we teach their upcoming managers about skills, certain soft skills, people, processes, and systems as well. But these are all opportunities for the gentleman as well. And in fact, because society has evolved so much, the gentleman has evolved as well. Most people keep the gentleman confined in this little box. And this box is all about being integrous, having strong character. All this is all still true. Being self-aware, all still true. Dressing nice, all still true. But the modern gentleman has evolved into the skillful gentleman. I'll say that one more time. The modern gentleman has evolved into the skillful gentleman. And so what we teach here at LPG, not just for men, but for males, doesn't matter your ethnicity. Yes, there are a lot of people in my community that are in our group, but there's also people that are many different ethnicities across the entire world that are also in the group. And we welcome people that want to learn and evolve. I'm not trying to reach everybody. Some people are just too stubborn, too hard-headed, and stuck in their ways right here in the mindset in order to evolve and learn to become somebody, become the person they're really supposed to be. That takes work. We'll talk about that shortly. Definitely talk about it in the masterclass. But I'm not trying to reach everybody. I'm trying to reach a very specific male that's masculine and wants to utilize his masculinity, want to utilize his leadership skills and evolve those skill sets to affect society in a positive way. Affect society when he's out there dating. It affects society when he's in the real workplace environment. It affects society when he is out in the social environment. And it can be done because you're looking at a person who did it. You're looking at someone who maneuvered through life successful after I learned all these concepts, frameworks, principles, and it took work. And again, it was a decision. It was a decision first. So back to my main point, I'm not trying to reach everybody. I'm trying to reach the person that really wants to grow, that wants to evolve. And I know that that is not everybody. And I am totally okay with that. But I should say, and what I'm also looking forward to is conversing with the young gentleman. We have programs for teen boys that are 12 to 17. Those boys have another, and I've been that age before, of course. So they have another type of society, let's just say another type of societal behaviors that they're dealing with. Been through that, the bullying, the teasing, everything else. And how do we stand up in that and be successful? How do they stand up nowadays in this time and be successful? Then we have programs for 18 to 26. These are the building years. These are the years where you should be hardly getting any sleep, but you're working your tail off, becoming who you're supposed to be successful. The foundational principles, the groundwork. These 20s and 30s, not so much about 30 to 35. This is where you are building. I just had a conversation with my other mentees about the same thing. I said, this is your time to build. I believe he's like 22, 21, 22. One of them. And they understand that. But so we have programs because you're now in the workplace environment. So now what skill sets are prevalent for you that are 18 through 26? Understanding communication, leadership, all these other skill sets that come about because now you're in the professional environment and you can grow into that environment. It takes skill, knowledge, wisdom, insight in order to grow in that type of environment. It also takes tough skin. It also takes learning how to be skillful and learning how to have confidence under the pressure that environment can bring. Been there too. Very successful at an early age, was division manager of an organization, Aero Electronics, at a very in my 20s, and very successful at it. But it was hard work. I was the youngest manager, and guess what? Yes, I had some things that were thrown at me that some things I wasn't prepared for. I learned on the fly. But I always kept a mentor or coach. Some things I learned by the heuristic approach. Other things I learned because I sat at the feet of somebody and I soaked it in. I was a sponge. And I learned from their mistakes. So I wouldn't have to make those mistakes. I don't have to pay the price, pay the cost. I can learn from the experience and then move forward. And then we have programs that are 26 plus. These are the prestigious gentlemen. These are gentlemen who are out there. They're still growing in their careers. They're starting to have other issues, maybe settling down and getting married, stepping out of the dating scene. But now marriage brings a whole other issue as well. And guess what? Yep, I'm there too, understanding that dynamic, right? And so I can provide wisdom, knowledge, insight. But not only me, there are other gentlemen in the group that have the same experience, and they too are in the position of growth. I too am in a position of growth, always growing, always growing. Yes, I am the leader in my organization, but I also make sure that I continue to grow. I have to be a better me so I can continue to evolve and bring information to the people who are now up and coming. So I feel a strong sense of responsibility. I feel a strong compulsion to take the information that's here and deliver it out there, because I know my purpose. I know my purpose is to help men, young men, teenage boys, young men, and then men that are also my age and older. I know what I'm called to do. So I operate in my purpose. I stay in my lane, as they say. Sometimes I color outside, or sometimes drift outside the lane, but I put myself back on track. That's just normal as being human. However, because of the opportunity that we have that I can share with you, this is why we formed this group. It is time. We've seen all the information that's out there from the corporations and marketing against men. We've seen the TV shows, the sitcoms put men as bumbling fools and idiots. We've seen the daytime TV shows also have their take and their toll on our domain as males, thinking they know how we think, and it's just all, to me, it's just a lot of BS. But there are some women out there that understand that that's not the plight, because they have sons, they have brothers, they have fathers that they are close to, and they understand that, yes, men, we are men, but women are different. And it's okay that there's a difference. We're supposed to be different. There's nothing wrong with being different from one another as far as male and female goes. But when we start talking about men and our issues, we have a lot of like issues. One of the issues is confidence. Now I'm going to talk about that. So let me first give you this opportunity. There is a way for you to join. Now, these masterclasses are for people who are members of The Forge. The Forge is an inner circle of like-minded men where we disseminate content. You get privileged content and different content, other videos, other handbooks, or we call them gentleman guides that also have video supplements. You get a plethora of other opportunities. So if you're in front of your computer or your phone, if you go to leagueofprestigious.com/The Forge, or if you go to leagueofprestigious.com and click on the membership button, that way you can see what you'll get. I started this because I wanted something. I know for me, and learning is this continuous process. It doesn't stop. So to have just one masterclass, it's not going to do you any good. To have one handbook and just let that try to permeate your mindset, yeah, that'll do good, but it's not going to continue your growth. So I started a subscription program that's $20 a month for right now. It is going to go up. For $20 a month, you can get all the gentleman guides. There's one that comes out every month. You get all the master classes. You get the long form videos. You get that information first before anyone else. And you get the challenges that we have. There's a plethora of information, and I disseminate, and I also send out a bunch of other content that we have, infographics and everything else that support the information. So if you are in the position and you want to continue to grow, $20 a month is nothing. Most of us spend more than that on subscriptions for TV and other content. However, pouring into yourself is where the mantra should be for you. I spend a lot of money learning a lot of information and refining myself, shaving off the rough edges. Now I get the opportunity to do that and share it for young men, young boys, 12 to 17, young men, 18 to 26, and 26 plus. And that's what it's all about. So let's dive into a little content a little bit more, and I'll come back and talk about the membership today again for those who are joining. So confidence is something that we all have to develop as men. That's one thing that should be focused on and can have continual focus each and every time we have the ability to display, exude, project confidence. This is a must for men. I believe it's a must for women too, but it's more subtle than men. I'm not talking about being arrogant. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about displaying confidence. There are certain verbal, nonverbal actions that we do as men that display confidence. There are certain verbal, and it's true for women too, there's certain verbal and nonverbal things that we do that display low self-confidence. There are certain things that we display, verbal, nonverbal, that can really boost our own confidence as we are communicating and interacting with other people. At the same time, there are things that we say, things that we do that either raise, RAISE, the confidence in someone else's eyes about us or about you, or RAZE, destroys the confidence in someone else's eyes about you. My job, when I'm talking and communicating with somebody, is keep the confidence and the competence level of how they assess my level of confidence high. That is my job. And if I fail at that, that's my fault. And I still have people come to me because of how I present myself, people that I don't know in an environment that I'm in, they come to me and they project exactly what I was talking about, but mitigating their confidence. They come and they talk inappropriately, or talk to a person you should be able to tell the intelligence level of a person, and that's usually displayed by how they dress. When he or she opens their mouth, then you also have to assess that and also make your internal adjustments of how you communicate. But yet people come up to me, and these people, I'm not blaming them, because it either went over their head or no one told them. No one else had the confidence to tell them that you have to present yourself in a certain way. And most of them wonder why they don't get the opportunities, or they have the victim mentality, because when I listen to them, I start hearing the small little tweaks that purport victim mentality. And those types of conversations to me are dangerous, because they're rooted in something that is totally self-sustained by them, but also totally can also be transformed and evolved by them. Let that sink in for a minute. But yet, people will, men, let me talk to the men for a second. And you ladies that have sons, you have sons, then it's also good for you to listen to this. Yet I still hear and see young men, young boys, even older men approach me as if I am not I'm not trying to be arrogant. It's not about arrogance, but you should be able to approach someone at a certain level. You should be able to immediately assess where that person is and adjust your thinking and adjust the way you communicate to facilitate the proper engagement with that person. No one probably has ever shared that with you. And it might sound kind of haughty. It might sound kind of arrogant, but it's not arrogant, because when I walk into the corporate environment and I'm talking to people, I have different types of communications. Let me paint you a picture right quick. So we went to this one organization. We walked on the line per se of their manufacturing plant, And people that were there, they were talking to us about what they're doing, and we were observing. And I, of course, hear them talk, but when I spoke with them, I spoke at their level. Then we went, that was kind of the let's say the process level of the business. Then we went up to the operations level of the business. Start meeting middle management. I started meeting QC managers, the VPs. I started meeting ops managers. What else? District managers, all these other managers that are mid-level managers, which is very, very important in an organization, the mid-level management. I started talking with them. I hear how they talk, language they utilize. So guess what? I elevate my level of conversation and talk to them where they are as well. Then we go, as over towards the C-suite, so a few of the C-suite, go and meet some of the other C-suite, and we're conversing with them. They talk differently as well. So guess what? I elevated my level of communication to have an affinity with those people that I'm talking to now. Because if you don't realize, and a lot of you miss opportunities because you don't realize that the way you communicate and the way you project confidence in your communication can make a world of difference for opportunities that come your way or opportunities that don't come your way. These are all facts. These are all things that I've experienced. These are all things that I have other people now that I coach experience the exact same thing. This is nothing new. I'm not special in that regard. But what I am saying is that my confidence does allow me to fluctuate my communication level to meet them where they are and confidently and competently talk to them about what it is that we're talking about. Excuse me. So I'm painting a picture for you because confidence is that important. Confidence is that important. So there are 6 different pillars. Let me talk to you about what I'm going to talk about because in the masterclass, because this is important. I'm going to share with you, you gentlemen, a framework that I've developed in order to continue to have a high level and to increase your level of confidence. I'm going to talk to you about that. We'll share with you the 6 components. I'll tell you one, and in this order that I'm talking to you about as well. Okay, and in this order, I would show you the graphic, but I want to save that for the opportunity that we have coming up this Saturday. So we call the gentleman's confidence framework. There are 6 pillars that make a gentleman have unshakable confidence. And there's a certain order that you have to increase your level of competence in each one of these particular opportunities. Because I promise you, when you become more confident, you'll see the world in a different way, but also people will see you in a different way. You'll be able to affect them and infect them with a level of confidence that they didn't know that they had either. This is why confidence is important. It's multifaceted. In fact, we share that there are 3 realms of confidence. There are multi-level faceted of confidence. Doing a deep study, you'll find that there are 12 different areas for men. There are 12 different areas. This is true for women too. 12 different areas where you should have a level of confidence. Those same 12 areas, you should have a level of competence. Those same 12 areas, you should have a level, you should be winning and getting accomplishments in those areas. Those same 12 areas are the 12 areas that you should add value to society and other people's life in those same 12 areas. Are we sharing that in the masterclass? This is important. Then we go down to another step. We talk about the framework. There's a framework of how to become more confident. There are things that we do. There are certain checks and balances and assessments that we do deliberately on purpose. And I made the framework because I learned it over an extended period of time, and you don't have to take that long time. You'll be versed at it. You'll be masterful at it, but you don't have to take as long as I did. So that's why I put together a framework. Many years ago, I put together this framework. It has evolved over time. It's gotten better and better and better because I'm continuously talking to people and teaching them about confidence, and it's just getting better and better and better. It may evolve again some other time, but it evolved within the last couple of months. I said, I can add this to it as well, because all these things are relevant. Let me give you pillar number one. There are 6 different pillars. This is important. Every person that is confident has an identity, and you can shape that identity yourself, or you can let the world shape it for you. And if the world shapes it for you, it's going to be very, very poorly drawn out. It's going to be very, very poorly descriptive from your standpoint. But I can influence that with my confidence. And so I have an identity that I present out there, and I actually get feedback from people based on what they say, how they act towards me. They're consistently giving me feedback that I am in alignment with my identity that I am portraying to them, of how they perceive me. It's exactly the way I want them to see me. And it has everything to do with being a gentleman. It has everything to do with being confident, and everything with being competent as well. Deliberately, on purpose, I do this because it has opened so many doors for me. I now have the opportunity to teach this. Pillar number one. Pillar number two, standards. Standards. You know how many men I communicate with and talk to that don't have, if I ask them what are their standards, they can't tell me their standards. And this is a question that comes up often. They may ask me something, I reciprocate a question or a rejoinder, and it's next thing you know, it breaks down, and they're like very inquisitive. How did you get to that in your life? How did you do that? Where did that come from? Because I have certain standards. Put it like this: we teach people how to treat us. We teach people how to communicate with us as well. And if you don't have standards that you can push back on, hold on, you're about to cross that boundary right there. Boundaries you can enforce, then you're doing yourself a disservice, causing yourself more heartache and headache than you need. Standards have these checks and balances and keep things in this box frame. We talk about the gentleman frame. Spoke about that last month. That was a theme, gentleman frame. There's a certain frame that you should have, and that frame has everything to do with your level of confidence. That's pillar number two. Pillar number three, self-command. Self-command, mastery of impulse. I'll say that again. Self-command, mastery over your impulses. That takes work. It is not easy. I won't sit here and lie to you, because we all have impulses that we want to just let run free. We all have a level of, what's the word I'm looking for? We all have something that is our weakness, and it can be impulsive to make a decision, and we go towards that thing that might not be as good for us. We all have these opportunities. So we talk about self-command. It has everything to do with even our emotions. Gentlemen, what I've noticed, gentlemen are masters of their emotions. It's hard to get them out of their frame. It's hard to get them to go to 0 to 100. And if they do, you've really, really poked the bear. And we have an opportunity to leverage emotional maturity. And you should have this level of emotional maturity. In fact, I recommend that you have this level of control, emotional regulation, emotional maturity before you get into a relationship. But oftentimes, and I was guilty of it too, we didn't do that, because no one taught me that when I first had my first kind of real girlfriend. Not that I was out there being an emotional either, but because we learned, I'm a martial artist, we had to learn how to control emotions. So I figured I was pretty precocious on that opportunity, ahead of my peers in that regard, which I was fine, whatever, it is what it is. But I see so many people, and the jails are full of them. And people are walking around with this chip on their shoulder. Just one little spark can make the whole thing just blow up. And it's because they lack emotional maturity. Every gentleman I know has emotional maturity. So if you're that guy, you know that guy who's out there talking about, oh, I'm going to pull a gun and shoot you, and all this other kind of stuff, all this other rigmarole that I used to hear all the time and seen in the neighborhood I grew up in. It's no, you're not. I can tell you're not a gentleman, and you should aspire to be better than that. At least from my perspective, I think every man should aspire to be better than that. You should have emotional maturity before you have kids, because kids, they'll do some stuff to piss you off, right? They're learning just like you're learning. We all did stupid things when we were younger. Now I understand what my mom and dad were talking about when I was, because now I have kids. And they did some crazy things. Most of them are grown now, so they're really good at it. And I know they've matured, and I've laid the foundation of how to facilitate their emotions, and some of them are pretty good at it, right? They're still learning. They're in their 20s. Either way, emotional, I should say, self-command, strong self-command is going to be imperative. So for those of you who are just joining us, I want to say, hey, you know what? I am talking about the upcoming masterclass that's coming up this Saturday, February 28th at 10 a.m. Arizona time. We'll be talking about this whole month mantra of confidence. And confidence is everything to do with how you portray yourself and how other people see you, and how you even walk into the room and how you command the room. So confidence. And then for those of you who want to join in the masterclass, I made a special offer earlier that I'll share with you right now. There is if you go to leagueofprestigiousgentlemen.com and you click on the membership when you get to the homepage, or you go leagueofprestigiousgentlemen.com/the forge, THEFORGE, and you go right to it. There you'll see a page that has the information about the Forge, which is an elite inner circle of like-minded men of different ethnic groups, not just my color, but men of different ethnic groups that I have an opportunity to share wisdom, insight, knowledge. We have some great conversations. If you're part of the Facebook group, all good. And we love to see you in the Forge. I'd love to have you on the master classes. Most of the other information I disseminate is not it doesn't culminate all the guys. We culminate online in the private Facebook group that's just for men. But at the same time, we also culminate at the end of every month. And there's a master class that I talk about, whatever the mantra is. This mantra is about confidence. So you can join the Forge for $20 a month. You could do it one time, but it wouldn't do you any good. Well, actually, it will do you good, but it's going to do you a disservice. So $20 a month is something that I wanted to set up a subscription model for those people who want to continuously learn. I'm that guy. And again, as I said earlier, I'm not trying to reach everybody. I'm not trying to talk with everybody. I'm only trying to talk to those people that want to learn. I'm only trying to talk to those guys who want to evolve to the gentleman. And it really warms my heart, and I know that I'm in my purpose when I see a guy that I spoke to, and next you know, they're in the group, and next you know, I'm coaching them either one-on-one or in the group coaching sessions, and they've evolved. They dress differently, they talk differently, they walk differently. Some of them smell differently, right? Because they really focus on the things that men are supposed to focus on. Hygiene is one of those things. And it pleases my heart to see that, because I'm reaching the people that want to learn. And now they're growing in their professions. I have, even from the corporate aspect, we have testimonial after testimonial after testimonial, people who totally transformed their lives, got more salary and made more money and everything else that comes along with more responsibility in the workplace environment, because you're one person, you're going in and out of the professional, the social, the personal environment. And guess what? You're going to take those traits, confidence, you're going to take those behaviors, self-control, self-command. You're going to take those standards. You're going to take your identity in all those different places. And doors will open for you. And I want to share with you how I do this, and because my job is to pass it along to whoever's learning, but your job isn't to keep it and hoard it. Your job is to pass it along to someone else later on. So we have a lot of different other events coming up that also the Forge members will be a part of. Parenting classes, for those of you men who are parenting classes, we have an attorney that wants to come and talk to men about divorce. Some of us are at that age where we have been divorced. I've been divorced once, and guess what? That was not a fun process. But because of the foundational principles I have that were also embedded in confidence, I came out on the other side alive and successful, right? So that's our job. So you can join the Forge for $20 a month. It is going up probably in April. I think that's where we're going to meet the threshold, and then we'll bump the price up to, I think, like $30. I think that's the plan. However, you can get in right now and grandfather it in at $20 a month. It won't go up. You still get all the other assets that the group gets, all the information before other people get it. You get the videos before other folks get it, way before other people get it. You get the handbooks that only the Forge people get. We might start selling those one-offs, but All this information is for those Forge members. So if you want to join, then we welcome that as well. All right. Continuing on. Pillar number 4 that I'll be talking about in the masterclass is presence. And that's what I'm going to talk about next month. Presence is deep. If you haven't really studied presence, man, I tell you, it's deep. Presence is something that if you master presence, the world will bend to your favor, I should say. Let's say your favor. It will literally bend to your favor. And it has everything to do with how you don't communicate. Right? Does that make sense? Yes, of course it does. It's a lot of nonverbals that are involved in creating this presence and exuding this presence. That's gravitas, as we call it in the professional area. Presence is executive weight, gravitas. It has a lot to do with your level of opportunities that will come your way. So say your level of confidence, but also the opportunities that will come your way. Presence. You learn this, you'll be a beast, man. You'll be a beast with the women. You'll be a beast with the professional environment. Presence has a lot to do with a lot of success. And some people can't break presence down. They may have the presence, but they can't tell you what they're doing. Well, this is the advantage of communicating with Mr. Shines here. I've studied it. I've experimented with it. I've read studies on it. I've practiced it, and I still do, and to the point of mastery. Right. And that is a very strong component in order to have unshakable confidence. And that's what we're talking about, developing this unshakable confidence. Doesn't matter what people say. Some people just really enthralled by how I dress and how I present myself. Some people, not so much. And they say things, I'm like, well, okay, whatever. Right. It doesn't shake me. But I know the results that I do get and the conversations that do evolve from out of that and the business deals that do evolve from out of that. So I have the level of confidence. I was in this store the other day. I was grocery shopping. I had on this like this light green outfit that I have on. Fairly nice. And this guy, he's like, man, you dress really nice. And some guy I never knew. I don't know to this day. He said, man, but I could never wear that. I said, yeah, you can. Just take confidence. That's usually my response. People say, I can't do that. I can't do that. Yeah, you can. It just takes confidence. Confidence is the trust you have in your abilities, qualities, and judgments. That's exactly what it is. The trust you have in your abilities, your qualities, your judgment. We break it down even more and present all these other peripheral opportunities around confidence in the masterclass, especially when I'm talking about confidence. But presence is huge. I can't emphasize enough the importance of understanding how to present yourself in a certain way. And if you don't focus on that, and here's how important this is. Let me back a little. If you don't focus on that, people will not give you opportunities. So I was watching this video the other day, and this bothers me about men. I'm being completely honest with you. This, what I'm about to say, bothers me. There are certain people that only dress one way no matter what. There's no range to how they dress. And appearance, whether you like it or not, appearance matters. And so this guy, I think it was one of those shows, Pop the Balloon or something like that. It was a short that came up, and it looked interesting. And the lady popped the balloon, and then they go over and ask, well, why did you pop your balloon? Why didn't you choose him? And the lady spoke about his presence. She said, well, you come to a dating show and you dress like blah, 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 and you have this or whatever, and you got the cap on and the braids and everything. And I'm like, I get it, man. I get it. Totally not dressed appropriately. Your appearance does matter, whether you believe it or not. Some of you have this nonchalant attitude, like, I don't care what people think about me, but that's fine. You'll never see the opportunities. Because at this level where we are, these gentlemen, the people that can command the opportunity and or give you an opportunity, I see things far off before, or I should say, not just me, us gentlemen, we see things far off before they even come to, before they're directly in our peripheral or directly in our face. We see things. And so when we see things, we make a decision instantly. We shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Yeah, but we do. Everyone does. You don't have to say anything and people will still judge you by what you have on. It's the same thing for ladies. And if a woman dresses classy, she can garner the attention of a gentleman. If the woman dresses scantily clad, guess what? We can see that far off and we're already like, no. It's simple, but people don't talk about that. And we share these types of things because this has everything to do with presence. What you wear is the first thing that, or what you don't wear, is the first thing that people see when you're out in the social marketplace. And if you're dating, guess what? People see you. They have to see you, unless they're really legally blind. No disrespect to those people who are. If you're legally blind, it's the only way they're not going to see you, because all of us, human nature, we look and we see things first. And guess what? Yes, we do make a judgment. I'll be totally honest with you. You do it. I do it. Everyone does it. That's the first initial attraction for somebody most of the time, is by how they look. I'll speak from a guy's standpoint. That's what it is most of the time. We see a pretty woman, we're like, oh, ho, ho, okay. All right. So you have an opportunity to change your thought process, because how you present yourself, your presence, it does matter. From there, when you open your mouth, you can't remove all doubt if they perceive you with a high level of confidence, competence. Don't remove that doubt. I mean, don't instill doubt. It's crazy when people dress nice, whatever, and they open it up, there's like, boom, just totally destroyed. Totally destroyed. There's no congruence in how they dress and how they speak. Totally wiped it out. You're done. You cooked. Finito. You bombed the opportunity, and it may never come back to you. All right. The fifth component is competence. This is what I just talked about. As soon as you open your mouth, boom, you destroy the whole opportunity because you're incompetent. Be point blank with it, right? There are, you know when you hear incompetence. I know when I hear incompetence. We all know when we hear incompetence. So that's why this framework, this confidence framework, focuses on competence. Because remember, the modern gentleman is the skillful gentleman. The skillful gentleman. You can't take that away from the gentleman nowadays that really evolved to be the gentleman. No longer is it just we're kept in this box. So yes, there's integrity, there's character, there's all these other traits, but yes, there's also skill sets from a competence standpoint. There's good communication skills. There are people that are articulate, that can string together words appropriately and still make moves and still make things happen. There are people who have evolved how they communicate because they see the benefit of communicating a different way. And guess what? Yes, they now are more of the gentleman status, the skillful gentleman, not just this old school 1950s, 1930s gentleman. They were still smart too. Don't get it twisted. But the skill set of the gentleman is very apropos, because remember, it crosses over to the professional environment as well. And if you're not getting promoted, you're doing something wrong. I'll say that again. If you're in a professional environment and you're consistently getting passed over for promotions, you are doing something wrong. Point blank. Trust me, coming from a guy who hired people, fired people in the corporate workplace environment, I'm telling you, you're doing something wrong. And it has everything to do with what I just spoke about, these other pillars that I spoke about. First one, identity. The second one is your standards. The third one is your self-command. Fourth one is the presence. Fifth one, competence. And the last one, outcomes. And in that order, too. You have to have outcomes. You have to have results. We can't do this. We can't try to learn about confidence, or you can't try to start a business. You can't try to grow a social media, whatever it is. If you're not having results, you have to look at the results. You have to say, am I getting the desired outcome? And then even more so, take it to the next level. If the desired outcome isn't the way you want it, you're not shaken to immobility then. You're not shaken, or you're so downtrodden, you're depressed till you're not moving anymore. You can become static. You're no longer dynamic. That's not the way. That's not the gentleman way. The gentleman way is not dependent on validation. Is not dependent on approval of other people. Is not dependent on only the right results work, and then I'm happy and I'm cheerful. But if the results don't turn out right, then I am not. The gentleman way is not being indecisive. So when we start talking about these pillars, this framework, we do focus on outcomes. You have to have outcomes. You want to garner, if you can get feedback, that's important. You want to be out there testing different things regarding your confidence and see how other people react towards you. Experiment with it. Try things out. Understand how it works. Understand the timing of certain things. Understanding the speed of certain things, the accuracy of certain things, the authority or power of certain things. These are all things that we focus on when we talk about execution. There's 6 strategies to execution, which is going to get your outcome. It's another conversation for another time. But be mindful. This framework is a powerful framework, and I want to give it to you, gentlemen. Will it work for ladies too? Some of you ladies that might be watching. Yes, it will work for ladies as well. And I do coach ladies in the corporate arena. But LPG, I want to get to your sons. If you have a son, young lady, or older lady, if you have a son, and let them know about the League of Prestigious Gentlemen. There's a whole movement going on that we are pushing out there, and it has everything to do with, but today, this month, confidence. Everything to do with confidence. Next month, we'll be talking about presence. So that's what I wanted to share with you, because confidence is such an important topic for men. And there are certain ways that we can become more confident. One of the ways that I became more confident was through martial arts. But there are different mediums that we can utilize to become more confident. Again, martial arts was one way that I became more confident. It wasn't the only way. As I stated earlier, I sat at the feet of good bosses. I sat at the feet of my dad, sat at the feet of my brother, who's 10 years my senior and has very strong business acumen. Learned a lot from him. What I didn't learn from my dad, often things I learned from my brother, especially about business, and then other things I learned that was specific about certain domain knowledge, I learned from other people, good bosses that took me under the wing. They saw something to me that I didn't see initially, and then when I got into leadership, I loved it. And every man should be a leader in some capacity. From the family dynamic, from the personal, professional dynamic, I said professional dynamic, personal, that's the family. From any other dynamic, you should be the leader. Social opportunities, you're out with your boys, whatever. We're all in the same level, but someone stands out as the leader. That should be you. That should be your son, ma'am. That should be your brother, ma'am. That should be your other brother, sir. That should be the men in your life, because we have a duty to society. No matter what you say, we have a duty to society. And if you are not contributing, you're just in the way and probably making it hard for the rest of us out here. So again, my whole mantra is to get to the people that want to learn. I am not trying to get to everybody. So if this video comes across your path, you see it, again, share with the people who you think are interested. But I'm not trying to get to everybody. I'm not trying to deal with people that are time wasters and that don't want to waste time. I'm sure you won't waste your money. That's all good. But then we have a mutual interest of not communicating, because I am about my purpose, one, but then also giving this to the next generation of people that want to do something. People that are actually moving and shaking out there in the real world, out there where it really, really matters. Or inside an organization where it matters, whatever. In your family, it matters. In your church, it matters. And in your other organization, it matters. You should be the leader. You're supposed to be the leader. You're the man. You're the one with the broad shoulders. Those wide, broad shoulders are for the heavy weight and the heavy load of things. So as I bring this to a close today, remember, confidence Confidence is extremely important. Every gentleman has to go through the process of developing his confidence. So if you aspire to be a gentleman, there are many types of men that you can be out there, from the behavioral and the social archetypes. You can be the pimp, the player, the pusher, the corporate exec, or the corporate hustler. You could be the alpha, the sigma, whatever, the beta male. We could be all these other types of archetypes of guys, but the one that's at the top is the gentleman. And just because he has a calm, controlled demeanor, that does not mean he's simping. That does not mean that he's soft. That does not mean that. And some people shun the word gentleman, but they don't understand the history of that, where it really comes from. Another conversation for another time. But to say this again in closing, gentlemen, you want to join before Saturday. And I'll be looking at the emails to see who joins. I think I saw a couple of people join already. All good. Well, good. Yep. And so I will make sure to send you all the emails, put you on the list. You'll start getting emails, and then you'll start getting information I'll make sure to send you the information for Saturday Masterclass. So Saturday's Masterclass is at 10 a.m. Arizona time, 9 p.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. All right. So look forward to chatting with you there. Gentlemen, go out today, be prosperous, do what you got to do. All right, folks, I will chat with you later on. If you feel inclined, send me an email or a DM on any of the social medias where you're watching this, and we'll go from there. All right, folks, talk to you later.